If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan, and guess what they have planned for you? Not much. That's the brutal truth of life. Most people drift. They wake up each day not as creators of their destiny, but as followers of circumstances. They wait for luck, for a break, for someone to hand them success. But let me tell you something. No one is coming to save you. The 1%, those who build wealth, achieve success, and live life on their terms, they don't wait. They design their future. They fight for it. They don't let fear, doubt, or failure dictate their destiny. And the reason they win? Because when life knocks them down, they don't stay down. They get up and keep fighting. The question is, will you? Will you rise when life gets tough? Will you push forward when everything in you wants to quit? Because success doesn't come to those who try once and stop. It comes to those who are willing to keep fighting again and again and again until they win. So I ask you again, how much longer are you going to wait? How many more excuses are you going to make before you take control of your destiny? Because the truth is, the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Your dreams are not running towards you, they're running away. And you have a choice. Chase them now or spend a lifetime regretting that you didn't. Let me tell you something. Success is not something that just happens to you. It's something you decide upon. It's something you commit to. You don't stumble into success any more than you stumble into good health or financial independence. It starts with a choice. A real choice, not a casual one. Some people say they want success, but what they really mean is, I'd like it if it were easy. But life doesn't work that way. Success asks, are you committed or are you just interested? Because if you're just interested, you'll find excuses. But if you're committed, you'll find a way. I remember when I was broke, not just financially, but mentally. I had 1,000 reasons why life wasn't working out for me. I blamed the economy, the government, my circumstances. Then I met a mentor who said, Jim, your problem is not the economy. It's not the government. It's not even your job. Your problem is you. You haven't decided. That stung, but it was the truth. He said, until you make a decision, until you say, this is it, I'm changing my life, nothing is going to change. That was the day I committed. That was the day my life began to turn around. You see, the people who achieve wealth, the ones who rise to the top, they don't leave their future up to chance. They don't wait for circumstances to be perfect. They decide. They say, I'm going to make this happen no matter what. And once they make that decision, their entire mindset shifts. They stop making excuses, they stop waiting for the right time, and they start taking action. There's a saying, a person who wants something bad enough will find a way. A person who doesn't will find an excuse. Which one are you? Are you the person who's waiting for conditions to be perfect before you start? Because let me tell you something, conditions will never be perfect. The people who succeed aren't the ones waiting for the right time. They're the ones who make the time right. Think of the farmer. He doesn't sit around waiting for perfect weather to plant his crops. If he did, he'd starve. No, he gets out there, he works the soil, he plants the seeds, and he trusts the process. The same is true for wealth. You have to plant the seeds, even when you don't see immediate results. Because success, like a harvest, doesn't happen overnight. But it will never happen if you don't plant the seeds. Let me ask you something. What is it you've been putting off? What decision have you been avoiding? Because here's the reality. If you don't make a decision, life will make one for you. And chances are you won't like it. If you don't decide to become financially independent, someone else will decide how much you earn. If you don't decide to control your time, someone else will decide how you spend it. If you don't decide to be disciplined, life will discipline you with hardship and regret. I had a friend who always talked about starting a business. Year after year, he said, I'm going to do it, but he never did. He waited for the economy to improve. He waited until he had more time. He waited for the right moment, and guess what? He's still waiting. Meanwhile, another friend with the same idea, the same resources, made a decision. He committed, he took the leap. And today, he's living a life of financial freedom. The difference, one made a decision, the other waited. So, What's it going to be for you? Are you going to keep waiting, keep making excuses, keep telling yourself someday? Or are you going to make a decision? Because someday is not a day on the calendar. The only time you have is now. The 1%, the people who build wealth, who achieve extraordinary success, they don't wait. They don't hesitate. They make decisions and then they back those decisions with action. They don't sit around hoping things will change. They change things. They don't wait for life to hand them an opportunity. They create one. So if you want to change your life, start with a decision. Decide to be successful. Decide to be wealthy. Decide to take control. And once you do, once you truly commit, everything else will start to fall into place. The opportunities will appear. The right people will come into your life. The path will become clear, but it all starts with one thing, a decision. And if you don't make that decision, well, life has a way of deciding for you. And trust me, you'd much rather be in the driver's seat. Most people live their lives reacting to the economy, reacting to circumstances, reacting to what life throws at them. They complain about taxes, complain about their job, complain about how unfair life is. But let me tell you something, complaining changes nothing. The only thing it does is make you a professional at finding problems. The people who succeed, the ones who build wealth and achieve their dreams, don't waste time complaining. They adapt. They adjust. They take control of their mindset. Because here's the truth. Life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. And if you don't, you get left behind. I remember when I was struggling financially, looking for every excuse I could find. The government takes too much in taxes. My company doesn't pay me enough. The economy is bad. Then I met a mentor who changed my thinking forever. He said, "Jim, have you ever met a rich complainer?" I thought about it and I couldn't name a single one. He said, "That's because wealthy people don't waste their time complaining. They're too busy adapting, adjusting, and finding solutions." That was the moment I realized my biggest problem wasn't my paycheck, it was my mindset. If you give the same circumstances to two different people, you'll see two very different results. One will complain, the other will adapt. Give a poor thinker a financial setback and they'll say, "This is why I can't get ahead." Give that same setback to a wealthy thinker and they'll say, "All right, how do I turn this into an opportunity?" Same problem, different mindset. Take the Great Depression. Millions lost everything. But you know what else happened? Some became millionaires. While most people panicked, a few looked for ways to create opportunities. They understood that wealth isn't about what happens to you. It's about how you respond. The poor thinker says, "Times are tough. I'll wait for things to get better." The rich thinker says, "Times are tough. That means there's opportunity." Let me tell you about a friend of mine who wanted to start a business. He had big dreams, but every time we talked, it was the same story. It's not the right time. The market isn't good. I don't have enough money. And so he never started. Meanwhile, another friend, same idea, same starting point, but a different mindset. He said, "All right, I don't have much money. How can I make it work with what I have?" He found ways to cut costs, he adapted, and today he runs a thriving business. What was the difference? One waited for circumstances to change, the other changed himself. And that's the key. You can't wait for life to get easier, you have to get stronger. The wealthy aren't sitting around hoping for luck. They train their minds to see possibilities where others see obstacles. They develop the skill of adaptation because they understand that success is not given, it's built. You want to be successful? You have to master your mindset. You have to stop focusing on what you can't. You can't control the economy, but you can control how you respond to it. You can't control taxes, but you can control how you earn and invest your money. You can't control the past, but you can control what you do today. And that's what separates the 1% from the rest. There's an old saying, it's not the blowing of the wind, but the set of the sail that determines your direction. The wind is the same for all of us. Some people use it to move forward, and some let it push them back. The question is, which one are you? So here's my challenge to you. No more complaining, no more excuses, no more waiting for things to change. Instead, change yourself. Adapt, adjust. Train your mind to see solutions, because the moment you do, everything in your life will start to change. And when that happens, you won't have to chase success. Success will chase you. Most people let their feelings run their lives. They wait until they feel motivated. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until the timing is perfect. But let me tell you something. Success doesn't care about your feelings. Wealth doesn't wait for your mood to be right. If you let your feelings decide your actions, you'll never accomplish anything worthwhile. That's why the 1% operate differently. They don't let their emotions dictate their actions. They let discipline lead the way. Discipline is doing what you need to do even when you don't feel like doing it. It's getting up early when your body wants to sleep. It's working on your dreams when your mind tells you to relax. It's making the tough choices when taking the easy way out is so tempting. And here's the truth. Discipline is painful, but so is regret. The difference is one lasts for a moment, the other lasts for a lifetime. I learned this lesson early in my career. There was a time when I was broke, struggling, and making excuses. Then one day my mentor looked me in the eye and said, "Jim, the reason you're failing is simple. You choose what's easy now and suffer later. The wealthy do the opposite. They suffer now and enjoy the rewards later." That hit me hard because I realized every day I was making a choice. I could choose to wake up early and build my future, or I could sleep in and stay where I was. I could choose to invest in myself, or I could waste my money on entertainment. I could choose to face the pain of discipline, or I could wait until the pain of regret caught up with me. And let me tell you, regret is much worse. You see, people say they want success, but what they really mean is they want success without sacrifice. They want the rewards without the work. But life doesn't work that way. You can't build wealth without discipline. You can't build a strong body without discipline. You can't create a meaningful life without discipline. Think about the people who make it to the top. Do you think they feel like working hard every day? No, but they do it anyway because they understand a simple rule. Success is not about how you feel, it's about what you do. The average person waits for motivation. The 1% rely on habits. And that's the difference. I knew a man who wanted to change his life. He wanted to get fit, make more money, and improve his relationships. But every time I asked him how things were going, he had the same excuse. "I just haven't been feeling it lately." And so nothing changed. Another man, same goals, but a different mindset. He said, "I don't feel like it, but I do it anyway." And over time, he got stronger, he got wealthier, and he built a life most people only dream of. Because here's the reality. Your feelings will betray you. Some days you won't feel like putting in the work. Some days you'll feel tired, discouraged, or lazy. And if you let those feelings control you, you'll stay stuck. But if you train yourself to act, no matter how you feel, you'll be unstoppable. There's a reason why only a small percentage of people succeed. It's not luck. It's not intelligence. It's discipline. The discipline to do the work when no one is watching. The discipline to say no to distractions. The discipline to push through even when things get hard. And let me tell you something. Life is short. Too short to waste on laziness. Too short to look back with regret. If you don't have discipline now, you'll pay for it later. Because one day you'll wake up and realize you ran out of time. You'll see the opportunities you missed, the dreams you never built, and the potential you never used. And you'll wish, just for a moment, that you had chosen discipline over comfort. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they stop learning. They graduate from school and think they're done. They get a job and think the learning is over. But the 1% know something the 99% don't. If you stop learning, you stop growing. And if you stop growing, you start dying. You see, the world is constantly changing. Opportunities are shifting. Industries are evolving. The question is, are you evolving with it? The wealthy understand that if you don't stay ahead, you get left behind. That's why they read, study, and invest in their minds every single day. Because they know that ignorance is expensive and wisdom pays dividends. I'll tell you a little secret. The poor entertain themselves, but the rich educate themselves. That's the difference. When the average person comes home from work, they turn on the television, they scroll through social media, they kill time. But the wealthy, they open a book. They listen to something that sharpens their mind. They learn a new skill because they understand a simple truth. Every hour you spend entertaining yourself is an hour the 1% spend getting ahead. I remember a time in my life when I was broke, struggling, and I asked my mentor, what's the first step to changing my life? He said, Jim, change what goes into your mind. At first, I didn't understand, but then he asked me, how many hours a week do you spend learning? How many books have you read this year? How much have you invested in yourself? And I had no answer. Because the truth was, I wasn't learning. I was just existing. And that's when I realized if I wanted to change my life, I had to change my mind first. So I started reading. I studied successful people. I devoured books on wealth, mindset, and business. And slowly my thinking changed, my habits changed, and eventually my life changed. Because that's how it works. Change your mind and you change your life. You see, knowledge is the great separator. The wealthy think differently because they learn differently. While the average person watches hours of entertainment, the 1% are studying how to build wealth. While most people waste their weekends, the 1% are learning new skills. While most people complain about their problems, the wealthy are reading books that teach them how to solve them. Let me ask you, what's the last book you read? What's the last new skill you learned? What's the last investment you made in your own mind? Because if you can't answer that, you have a problem. I once met a man who told me he wanted to be rich. I asked him, how many books have you read on wealth? He said, none. I asked, how many successful people have you studied? He said, I don't have time for that. And I told him, then you don't want to be rich. You want to be entertained. And that's the problem. Most people want success, but they don't want to learn how to achieve it. They want the rewards without the knowledge. But it doesn't work that way. The wealthy know that every answer they need is already out there. Want to learn how to make money? There are books for that. Want to learn how to invest? There are courses for that. Want to learn how to think like a millionaire? There are mentors for that. The problem is most people won't take the time to learn. They'll spend hundreds of hours watching meaningless entertainment, but they won't spend a few hours reading a book that could change their life. And here's the harsh truth. If you refuse to learn, you choose to stay poor. Because life doesn't reward ignorance, it rewards wisdom, it rewards growth, it rewards those who seek knowledge and apply it. So let me challenge you. Become obsessed with learning. Read a book every week, listen to something educational every day, study the wealthy, learn how money works, learn how business works, learn how success works. Because the more you learn, the more you earn. And remember this, every time you choose entertainment over education, you're making a choice to stay where you are, a choice to remain stuck, a choice to let others pass you by. But if you choose to learn, if you choose to grow, if you choose to invest in yourself, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Because knowledge is power. And in a world where most people choose to remain ignorant, the ones who seek wisdom will always win. Money doesn't respond to wishes, complaints, or desperation. It follows value. If you want more money, you must become more valuable. That's the law. You don't get paid for time, you get paid for the value you bring to the marketplace. Two people can work the same 8-hour shift, but one makes minimum wage while the other makes a fortune. What's the difference? Value. Most people misunderstand money. They think it's about luck or talent or being in the right place at the right time. But the truth is, money is simply a reward for the value you create. If you want more money, don't chase it, chase growth. Develop yourself, build your skills, improve your thinking, because when you become more valuable, the marketplace has no choice but to reward you. Let's take an example. Imagine two people working at a company. One shows up on time, does exactly what's asked, and leaves at 5 p.m. sharp. The other shows up early, takes on extra responsibility, and learns new skills on the weekends. Who do you think will get promoted? Who will earn more? It's obvious. The person who increases their value will always out-earn the one who just does the bare minimum. I remember when I was young, working as a stock clerk in a department store. I was broke, frustrated, and wondering why life wasn't giving me more. My mentor sat me down one day and said, Jim, you don't get paid for time, you get paid for value. If you want to earn more, you have to become more. At first, I didn't understand, but then he asked me, if someone drops out of school and stays in an entry-level job for 40 years, should they expect to be rich? Of course not, because their value never increased. But if someone studies, develops skills, and becomes an expert, their value skyrockets, and so does their income. Money follows skills. A doctor gets paid more than a cashier because their knowledge is rare and valuable. A great salesperson earns more than an average one because they've mastered the art of influence. A business owner makes more than an employee because they've learned how to create systems that generate wealth. So the question is, what skills are you developing? Are you learning how to solve bigger problems? Are you making yourself indispensable? Or are you just hoping for a raise without increasing your value? The marketplace pays for solutions. The bigger the problem you solve, the more money you make. If you can only do what thousands of others can do, your income will always be limited. But if you become the best, if you master a skill, if you develop expertise, people will line up to pay you. Look at history. The greatest wealth has always gone to those who provided the most value. Inventors, business leaders, visionaries. They didn't wait for someone to hand them success. They worked on themselves. They built something the world needed. They created, innovated, and solved problems. And in return, money followed. I once met a man who said, "I want to make more money." I asked him, "What have you done to increase your value?" He had no answer. He was waiting for wealth instead of working for it. And that's what most people do. They hope for a financial breakthrough, but refuse to change. They want more money, but stay the same person. But that's not how life works. If you want more, you must become more. This applies to every area of life. If you want a better job, become a better worker. If you want better relationships, become a better person. If you want more respect, add more value to others. Success isn't about luck, it's about growth. And the fastest way to change your financial future is to start developing skills that the marketplace values. So ask yourself, how can I become more valuable? What knowledge do I need to acquire? What habits do I need to change? Because the moment you commit to personal growth, everything changes. The promotions come, the opportunities appear, the income increases, not because of magic, but because value attracts wealth. And remember, money doesn't stay where it isn't deserved. If you stop growing, your income will stop growing. If you stay the same, your paycheck will stay the same. But if you commit to constant improvement, if you make yourself so valuable that people can't ignore you, you'll never have to chase money again. It will chase you. Most people think success belongs to the talented, the lucky, or the gifted. But let me tell you something. Persistence beats talent every time. The world is filled with talented people who gave up too soon. It's filled with smart people who never reached their potential because they quit when it got hard. But the 1%, they keep going when others stop. They push through obstacles. They refuse to quit. And that's why they succeed. If talent were the secret to wealth and success, the most talented people in the world would be the richest. But we both know that's not true. How many people do you know who are smart, creative, or skilled, but never make anything of themselves? And how many people have you seen, with no special talent at all, who build fortunes? The difference is persistence. There was a time in my life when I struggled, just like anyone else. I wanted success, but it seemed out of reach. Every time I took a step forward, life knocked me 2 steps back. I was frustrated, I was discouraged, and I thought about giving up more times than I can count. But my mentor told me, "Jim, it's not the smartest who win, it's the ones who refuse to quit." That lesson changed my life. I realized that success isn't about how fast you get there. It's about whether you keep going when the journey gets tough. The marketplace doesn't reward effort. It rewards results. And the only way to get results is to persist longer than everyone else. Think about the farmer who plants seeds. He doesn't see results overnight. He doesn't get discouraged when nothing grows right away. He knows that if he keeps watering, keeps tending, keeps working, the harvest will come. But most people, they plant a few seeds and expect instant success. And when nothing happens, they quit. That's why only a few ever reap the rewards. I once knew a man who started a business. He was excited, full of energy, ready to change his life. But after 6 months, he quit. He said, "It's too hard, I'm not seeing results." But do you know what's interesting? Another man started the same type of business at the same time. He struggled too, he faced the same obstacles. But he kept going, he adapted, he learned, he refused to give up. A few years later, he was wealthy. What's the difference? One man gave up, the other persisted. That's the difference between the 1% and everyone else. Most people give up too soon. They try something for a few weeks, and when they don't see success, they move on to something else. They start a business, face one setback, and quit. They try to invest, lose money once, and never try again. They never give themselves a chance to win. But the 1%, they push through. They stay in the game long enough to see the rewards. Look at history. The greatest successes didn't happen overnight. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before he invented the light bulb. Henry Ford went broke 5 times before building his empire. They didn't succeed because they were lucky. They succeeded because they refused to quit. So let me ask you, are you willing to persist when it gets hard? Are you willing to keep going when others quit? Because that's the real test. Anyone can be excited at the start. Anyone can work hard when it's easy. But what separates the successful from the rest is what they do when it gets tough. There will be days when you want to quit, days when nothing seems to work, days when you wonder if success is even possible. But remember this, most people quit just before the breakthrough. They stop digging right before they hit gold. They walk away right before success arrives. Don't be one of them. Stay in the fight. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the most talented. But if you can develop the habit of persistence, if you can keep moving forward no matter what, success will be yours. Because while others are quitting, you'll still be in the game. And in the end, that's what makes all the difference. Your environment shapes your future. The people you surround yourself with will either push you toward success or pull you toward failure. The 1% understand this better than anyone. They don't let toxic people drain their energy, discourage their dreams, or poison their mindset. They choose their circle carefully because they know that environment is everything. Have you ever noticed that successful people tend to associate with other successful people? And people who struggle, who complain, who stay broke, well, they stick together too. That's not a coincidence. It's a law of life. You become like the people you spend the most time with. Their thoughts, their habits, their attitudes, they rub off on you, whether you realize it or not. If you spend time with people who complain about life, you'll find yourself complaining too. If you surround yourself with people who make excuses, you'll start making excuses. But if you're around winners, people who think big, who push themselves, who take action, you'll start becoming like them. That's why the 1% are so careful about their environment. They don't let negativity take root in their minds. I learned this lesson early in my career. I had dreams of becoming wealthy, but I was still hanging around the same people who had no ambition, no drive, no vision for the future. And guess what? They laughed at my dreams. They told me to be realistic. They said success was for other people, not for someone like me. And for a while, I believed them. But then I met my mentor, and he told me, "Jim, if you want to change your life, you've got to change your environment." That was a wake-up call. I started paying attention to who I was listening to. I realized that the people I admired, the ones who had the results I wanted, thought differently. They focused on possibilities, not limitations. They surrounded themselves with other winners. They learned from people who were ahead of them, not from those who were stuck. So I made a decision. I stopped spending time with people who dragged me down. I sought out mentors, successful people, those who could teach me how to think, how to grow, how to win. And let me tell you, my life changed. My mindset changed. My results changed. Most people never do this. They stay stuck in the same environment, surrounded by people who drain their energy, feed their doubts, and keep them small. They feel guilty for walking away from toxic relationships, so they hold on to them, even when those relationships are the very thing holding them back. But let me tell you, success requires tough choices. You can't afford to keep people in your life who don't support your growth. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be cruel, it just means you have to be intentional. If someone is constantly negative, constantly discouraging, constantly pulling you down, you owe it to yourself to create some distance. Your future depends on it. The 1% don't waste time arguing with people who don't believe in them. They don't explain themselves to doubters. They don't try to convince small minds to see big possibilities. They simply move on and build a winning circle, one that inspires, uplifts, and challenges them to be better. And here's the secret. When you surround yourself with the right people, success becomes easier. You don't have to fight against negativity every day. You don't have to defend your dreams. Instead, you're in an environment where success is expected, where growth is normal, where winning is the standard. That's how the 1% stay focused and keep moving forward. So take a look at your environment. Who are you spending time with? Are they pushing you toward your goals or pulling you away from them? If you want to rise, you have to make sure your circle is filled with people who lift you higher, because in the end, your environment will either fuel your success or destroy it. Choose wisely. Most people wait. They wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait until they feel ready. And guess what? They keep waiting. But the 1%, the ones who succeed, who build wealth, who stay focused, they don't wait. They take action daily because they know that success isn't built in a day. It's built every day with small, consistent actions that compound over time. Too many people believe that success is about one big breakthrough, one lucky moment, one huge leap forward. But the truth is, success is a series of small wins, stacked on top of each other, day after day. Every great achievement started with small, seemingly insignificant steps that eventually led to something extraordinary. The problem is most people dismiss the small steps. They think, what's the point of reading 10 pages of a book today? What's the point of making one extra phone call? What's the point of saving a little money when it won't make me rich overnight? And because they don't see immediate results, they quit. But here's the key. Small actions don't stay small. They multiply. They create momentum. A single push-up won't make you fit, but 1,000 push-ups over time will. Reading for 15 minutes won't make you a genius, but reading every day for years will. The 1% understand this. They trust the process. They don't focus on immediate gratification. They focus on consistent effort. I remember when I first started out, my mentor told me, Jim, set a goal to make one extra sales call every day. Just one. It seemed too simple, almost pointless. But I did it, and after a year, that one extra call each day turned into hundreds of extra calls, and those extra calls turned into extra sales, and those extra sales changed my financial life. It wasn't magic, it wasn't luck, it was small, consistent effort, repeated over time. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, they fail because they lack consistency. They start something, get excited for a few days, and then stop when they don't see instant results. But success isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. The 1% don't rely on motivation because motivation fades. Instead, they build habits, they create routines that force them to take action, even on the days they don't feel like it. Take a look at any successful person. You'll see the same pattern. The top athlete doesn't train only when they feel like it. The millionaire doesn't only work hard when they're in the mood. The great writer doesn't wait for inspiration. They show up every day, whether they feel like it or not. That's the difference. You don't have to take massive action all at once. You just have to take action daily. Small wins build confidence, small wins build discipline, and small wins build the foundation for big success. But if you wait for the perfect moment, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. So ask yourself, what's one small action you can take today? Maybe it's reading for 10 minutes. Maybe it's making one extra phone call. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be done. Because the secret to success isn't found in some magical formula. It's found in your daily actions. The ones you take or the ones you don't. Most people want success fast. They want wealth overnight. They want results immediately. And when they don't see progress right away, they quit. But the 1%, the ones who achieve real success, play the long game. They understand that wealth, mastery, and greatness don't happen in a day, a week, or even a year. They happen over decades of persistence, learning, and relentless effort. You see, the masses want quick rewards. They chase get-rich-quick schemes. They look for shortcuts. They jump from one opportunity to the next, hoping for an easy way out, but there is no easy way. The road to success is long, and the only way to win is to stay in the game, to never stop fighting, to never stop learning. Most people don't fail because they lack intelligence or talent. They fail because they give up too soon. They plant seeds, but don't stick around long enough to see them grow. They start a business, but quit when it doesn't make money in 6 months. They begin a skill, but stop when it gets difficult. The 1% think differently. They know that success isn't about speed, it's about endurance. They commit to the process, knowing that the rewards come later, not now. There's an old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. But most people don't plant at all. They don't want to wait 20 years for the results. So they do nothing, and 20 years later, they're still waiting. The 1% don't wait. They take action now, knowing that the real rewards will come later. I remember when I first started in business, I struggled. I barely made any money. I saw others quitting left and right. But I kept going, I kept learning, I kept growing, and eventually the results came. Not because I was the smartest or the most talented, but because I refused to quit. Because I understood that wealth isn't built in a month, it's built over years of discipline and persistence. And learning never stops. The 1% understand this. They know that if they stop learning, they stop growing, and if they stop growing, they start dying. They read books, they seek mentors, they ask questions. They know that the world is always changing, and if they don't keep up, they'll be left behind. Most people stop learning after school. They think education ends when they graduate. But the 1% know that real education begins after school. They keep sharpening their skills. They keep acquiring knowledge because they know that the more valuable they become, the more wealth and success they attract. Think about it. Why do some people keep getting richer while others struggle? It's not luck. It's not because they were born into wealth. It's because they never stop improving themselves. They don't waste time on distractions. They don't settle. They keep pushing, learning, and adapting. Look at history. The great minds, the great leaders, the great wealth builders, they all had one thing in common: persistence. They played the long game. They didn't give up when things got tough. They didn't stop learning when they reached a certain level of success. They stayed in the game, no matter what. And that's the challenge for you. Will you give up when things get hard? Will you stop learning once you reach a little success? Or will you keep going? Will you keep fighting? Will you commit to the long game? Because the truth is, success is reserved for those who refuse to quit, and wealth belongs to those who keep learning.